Hi, welcome back to Engaging Humans. Today I'm talking to Marty Forbes. And two of the things I want to know are, when you move from a creative job like program director or creative director into management, were you able to keep, utilizing your creativity? And then how did you use your creativity when you retired and got out of the workforce?
It's a great, long question. No, I was lucky to have been born into a radio family. I knew what I wanted to do very young. And all my advice came from my dad, who told me, get involved in every single department. So as I evolved through my career, I would spend time with the engineers. I would go to sales meetings. I would go to creative meetings. I used to write my own promos and often would voice them with for the Bears Kids Funds and things like that. I'd go into the music department and sit in. And I always had good people, so that they could run their own department, but I also had enough years and history behind me that I could go in and they would respect my contribution. So I never became one of those general managers that, would come in at 7:30 in the morning, lock the door, and you'd see them leaving at 3:30 in the afternoon. And I worked for guys like that. So no, I felt part of the creative process till the day I left.
I know it's different for everybody, but what do you think is integral for the creative process for you personally?
I guess the main part is collaboration is everything, and you have to learn right off the bat that it's not just me, it's not my idea. And CKXL early in my career worked with some of the best writers, producers, as you did in Edmonton with Chet. And it was always a team effort. You would always come up with a great line or a great spot, and then you would have the confidence to hand it to somebody else and say, here, Gary, make this better, or Mike, make this better. And I'll tell you what, 9 times out of 10 it would. And even through the production process, it would go into the studios, and the guy would come back and say, hey, I changed your whole spot. What do you think of this? He wouldn't say this is a piece of crap or whatever. He'd say, what do you think of this? And I respected their talent, and it was absolutely amazing how this one little idea became a huge thing. And that's how all the talk shows are done. The Jimmy Fallons and the Saturday Night Lives are done by a big team of people who participate. One week you might be hot and the ideas flow like crazy, then you could have brain cramp. So you need to be a collaborator and a team guy.
What are 3 qualities you appreciate in a collaborator?
Wow. God, you ask good questions. There has to be that communication that you know where each guy is going. Like I use a lot of sports analogies. I keep talking about who they're going to put with Connor McDavid. This guy might end up being the world's greatest hockey player, but the whole focus is trying to find the chemistry with that guy. And that's what I always looked for. In Calgary, Mike Thomas and I were a team like you and Gary Dreger were here, where totally different people, totally different interests, but when the final product came down, it was really cool to work with a guy who would take your product and take it higher and go for a beer at the end of the day and say, hey, that just worked, that was great.
A few years ago you retired from a management position, and you've really created a niche for yourself with what you're doing now. Tell us how you decided to move ahead, and what was the process going on in your head when you said, I've got the rest of my life ahead of me, what am I going to do?
I think the first thing to understand is why I left so early. My father passed away at age 58. His brother passed away at age 47 with 7 kids. His mother and dad, my grandparents, passed away at 61 and 62 years of age. So I literally, at the beginning, when my dad passed away, decided I was going to retire at age 58. And I designed my whole life to it. So financially, lifestyle, I designed myself to be able to walk away. Now the company sold at that point, and I literally kept thinking that the timing was near perfect because the new company's going to come in, they own the place, they may not want to do what I want to do, their styles may conflict. So do I want to start all over again? And my answer is no. So yeah, redefining myself. I'm an early adapter. I had one of those 40-pound Betamaxes the day it came out. My first cell phone was $2,700. Right? I have to have all those toys first. That's never gone away, right? But when I retired, I said, yeah, I still have a lot of gas in the tank. I don't want to work as hard. I don't have to work as hard, but I want to be relevant. And digital to me is exciting. You asked about the creative question. The thing I like about digital is you can try anything and fix it. I mean, you never lose anything anymore. Nothing's ever wrong. You can always make things better with it. And I wanted to take my knowledge of media and put it together with digital because they're in conflict. Radio, streaming, and television, specialties and newspaper all convergence. I could see where digital was going and how it would complement and eventually be one media. So I moved to the United States in Chandler, Arizona, and spent a good deal of time down there studying digital. I go to digital conferences and I hang with digital people. And I watch as some of the the businesses evolve. And I've used an example of somebody in Blockbuster said, "Hey, this Netflix thing isn't going to work," and I kind of use that as an example now, saying, "Okay, how is digital going to affect your business?" And I work with great companies. TELUS World of Science is a fabulous client. And I go in with them every year and discuss the changes in media. We build new platforms and we experiment with where it's all going, and have built some pretty successful stuff. And I just like, I like hanging. I call myself the oldest guy in next gen. I love hanging with the young guys. I love learning from these guys, and I think they benefit from, some of my old school management techniques, because that is a two-way street.
So basically, you took two things that you love: toys and technology, and media, and you put them all together to make a career. But there's a lot of hard work involved too, because you've been doing some studying and taking courses and like that.
It is a lot of work. A lot of times you feel like you're on an island when you talk to people who are so far behind the times, and a lot of things that are done in the U.S. come up to Canada almost 2 to 3 years later. So there's a bit of a lag in that kind of thing, but it changes. Digital changes so quickly, and media is changing so quickly. If you take your eye off the ball, you're not going to exist. So I've just trained myself to make consuming growth of digital part of my lifestyle. And I'm on the iPad. I'm on the internet way too much. I look over and Kim's got her iPad. She's playing Words with Friends, and I'm watching a TED Talks on a certain topic, and that's just the way it is these days.
If somebody is in your position where they're retiring now and they've got a lot of time ahead of them, and they haven't necessarily consciously thought of adding creativity to their lives, what would your advice be to them?
I do have a lot of friends who are approaching retirement or at that level, and I do fear for some of them. Some of them think it's the end of the road. I don't think it is. I think it's the beginning of the road. There's so much change going on out there. There's so many things to learn. You can broaden your horizon. My biggest advice is hang with the next gen. Go down to Startup Edmonton. Find one of these bright young minds that'll sit down with you and at least teach you, what's going on with digital and what you can do with it. Reinvigorate yourself with knowledge and keep going. It's an exciting world.
If you were going to give a young person, let's say in their early 20s, a word of advice about the world ahead of them, what would that be?
Simplest answer in the world: join a community. Get into public service. It's where you find how a city ticks, and it's where leaders of business will hand you a business card with their cell phone on the back of it. You get involved in understanding what goes on in the various parts of the city, and you understand the types of people that make up a city. It's the biggest door opener in the world to get involved in community. The year I left, I started to work with Astral on a radiothon. Part of this crew, $24 million in charity that all went back into children's hospitals. I've had friends who have kids been on some of the equipment, heart monitors and that we donated to the Royal Alexandra Hospital a number of years back. So business is one thing, but the biggest impact you can make is getting involved in a true charity, because that's your neighbor, it's the people that you work with, it's your best friend, and you know what? It will open a door later in life. Absolutely guarantee it.